Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Connections for Life. I am Ted Pete.
I'm Chad Kuba. Chad Kuba. How are you guys?
Joe Surratt, what's up, everybody?
How's it going?
I'm going. Look, you're getting notes delivered and everything. That was because you just tried to throw her out of the house.
I tried to.
She's sending mean notes to you. Don't read it. I don't want to know.
My dad's job is so easy. I like the eyeballs.
So how was the weekend, boys?
She says.
Oh boy.
Weekend was good. I had a neighborhood yard sale in the new community.
Yep.
I sold $600 worth of junk.
That's the first time I felt like I saw the front of your house. I really like the design. It's like contemporary modern design. It's cool.
You guys pick on me every week about me saying I have a modern contemporary house, and you're like,
yeah, from the outside, and then you have like hidden walls in your office.
I have never picked on you about that. I just would like to point that out. Don't you guys it, all right? Weekend was good. I didn't really do much. I hung around with the kids. They've had soccer pretty much 24 hours a day. So
that's good, that's some normalcy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just getting colder in upstate, so it's a little bit more difficult because it's kind of hard to be out there at 8 o'clock in the morning, freezing your butt off while they're running around. But it was good. They're happy.
That's good.
Back at it
was
today.
pretty cool.
So this week, this weekend, I don't even remember. They happen so fast, and then it's Monday. This weekend was exciting for me because of the lead up to today, and at the outro you'll see what the part of today was that I was excited about. But no, we didn't do a whole lot, honestly. I probably drank too much one night, and yeah, not much more.
Right. Since we have such interesting lives, anybody want to talk about who we got on this week?
We have Dave Morrow from OPW, who we actually had to try really, really hard to get on the show.
We broke his camera. We broke his camera the first time. We didn't even do anything. But, OPW has the new HaloValve. They called it last year. They were calling it the breakaway valve, I believe, when it first came out. And it's been circling through probably, Joe, maybe 2 years now through the AGA
not
ranks.
even 2.
I would say maybe a year, 18 months. Yeah.
When was the AGA that they were down there with their booth? That was last April. So it's got to be about a year and a half.
Yeah, that was
somewhere
last
around there. But
yeah.
This stuff, the product that they have is pretty amazing. We're gonna talk about it thoroughly, but the idea came from something very near and dear to my heart that OPW was founded on, which are safety breakaways for gas stations. So if you've ever been in a gas station, you can use, and even the pumps are made by OPW. Pretty much everything is. But if you ever see one of those videos of somebody driving down the street with their holding on to the hose still with their gas tank
with their car,
that's me. OPW saved me a lot of money in a catastrophe.
There's 5 close circuit camera TV videos of Chad doing that, just so everybody knows. Yeah, that's his thing.
Yeah.
So,
I almost did it twice.
Chad personally would like to thank OPW for keeping him safe.
I think I do during the show actually as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it was a great interview. Dave's a great guy. It's really neat to see new technology in the industry. I think you guys are going to be really really interested in it. We were excited to have them on, and we're excited to be a part of their growth in the industry. So,
absolutely.
You queued it up so well. You if you would have just rolled right in and go.
I'm not saying that. No.
He had it perfect. What a way to
go ahead.
So, without further ado, Dave Morrow from OPW.
Very formal. I like it.
Hello, Dave, and welcome to Connections for Life.
What's up, Dave? How are you? How you been?
Hey guys.
I know the weather. I know the weather's not too much different where we are. I'm in Columbus. You're in the Cincinnati area, so that's not too far. These guys are freezing where they are. Look at Joe.
What are you talking about? Look outside my window.
Yeah. Wait, is that a facade?
Palm trees blowing.
Can we record this real quick? I gotta get in the shower.
You're making me cold looking at you.
Oh man, it's cold here. I think it was 38 when we got up today, so it's
pretty wild,
but
a little chilly.
So Dave, we did a little lead in before this, and but why don't you tell us about yourself and OPW, who's kind of the mother of the HaloValve?
Yeah, well, first of all, guys, I just wanted to thank you for allowing me to come on your little podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, we're not done recording yet. I don't know if you should thank us until the end.
Okay.
Could get real bad here.
No, I think what you guys are doing is super cool. So
thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for doing this.
Means a
Yeah,
lot.
it's our pleasure, man. We enjoy it, and it's brought some normalcy to a lot of us during this time where we've been stuck at home. So it's
Yeah.
great to have yourself and all the other people on board to help support the show. We really thank you for it.
Yeah, very cool. So I'm Dave Morrow. I've been with OPW for about 24 years. That's hard to believe it's been 24 years.
Wow. Creeps up on you.
Old guy. Spent most of my career with OPW and product marketing management, kind of doing the creative stuff. You know, I like to learn and teach. So that's what I've done most of my career. Most recently, just been doing some sales management. So I'm the director of sales. So really enjoying
That's a little bit different role, huh? That changes it a little for you.
That does change it. And there's nothing better than becoming director of sales
right before COVID.
Right before COVID.
Well played.
Congratulations.
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's like Ted. He decided to become the contractor sales manager like a few months before COVID. So like,
Yep.
Yeah. It's I'm sure you guys got some stories to share on that because it's got to be a challenge.
Hey, it's either congratulations or my condolences. I haven't determined it yet.
A little both for sure, but it's been fun. I mean, it's I love what I do. I love the business that we're in. Most people know OPW from the gas station. So if you get gas in your car, you look at the nozzle, it's likely an OPW nozzle, but we do a lot more than gas nozzles. I mean, really everything in the gas station we make. Our division of OPW is really more about bulk fluids. So we move fluids, whether it's putting fuel in your car or the equipment to load rail cars or tank trucks, you need OPW. So if you're loading Jack Daniel's whiskey, every drop of Jack Daniel's goes through an OPW loading yard. Fun fact.
That's cool.
Hershey chocolate, we've done many projects with Hershey's loading cocoa, sulfuric acid, ethyl methyl death, any of the commodity chemicals. If it goes in a tank truck or rail car, we make the equipment to load it and unload it. So
awesome.
it's
really cool. Sadly enough, I'm very familiar with your product in the gas station.
I know where you're going with this.
So true. Yes.
I you know, the first time we ever met, I think you came in and did a presentation for our company, and it was a lot of fun. You came in and you started talking about it, and you were like, "Has anybody ever done this?" And I was the only person that was like, "Almost twice."
Right.
Okay, so done this is what he means is at the
I
gas
don't know.
station.
Oh, I didn't want to tell anybody.
Oh, well,
No, go
Chad
ahead.
Chad decided to drive away from the pump on more than one occasion with the pump still attached to his car. And I was fortunate enough to be on the telephone one of the times that he did it. And it was one of those moments where you just wish you were recording the phone conversation because it was just epic. But, you know, due to your product, Chad didn't kill anybody that day. So thank you for that.
Gallons of gasoline on the ground.
So we load and unload, and the breakaways that save Chad, that's an OPW thing as well. So that's kind of what we do. So really, if you're loading fluids, we provide the solutions to get that done. So that's a little bit about what we do.
Yeah, that's cool. And you know, that kind of walks us into the new product, the HaloValve. You know, there's nothing like that in the industry. It's you know, as we've alluded to and we've heard, it's a game changer. And I think that word gets overused sometimes because it's just easy. It's an easy way to put new technology, but your stuff is something that's never really been in our industry ever before. Can you just kind of tell us about how that was developed and how it came to life?
Yeah, I mean, this Halo project has really been a fun ride. It's kind of been a pet project for me the last 2 or 3 years. I mean, because it is different than our normal business. So there's kind of a cool story behind it. So the way it really started was the utility industry. They had an issue with meters being impacted. And these utilities reached out to GTI, the Gas Technology Institute in Chicago, to ask them to try to identify a solution. So this was a sponsored project by utilities for GTI to try to figure out how do we solve this problem. So GTI started looking for someone who had a background in safety breakaways. And they literally did a Google search, and I think it started by Chad's little incident in a gas
That was the impetus.
This DTI thought of us because when they get gas, they look at the top of the hose, there's a breakaway. They're like, hey, OPW does that. So they reached out to us and said, hey, have you ever done something like this? You know, a safety breakaway type device that could be used for a gas meter. And it's not something that we've done. Our world is all about fluids, but our engineers looked at that and said, hey, I think we can figure this thing out based on all the stuff we've done on the fluid side. We can adapt that to gas. And we started down the path with GTI to figure out this solution. So really, it was the similar challenge that we had way back in the day with the gas station,
right,
where people would put the nozzle in the car, jump in and drive off, and something really bad would happen. Today, when that happens, as Chad can attest,
Nothing happens.
It's totally fine. Everything's safe. It pops apart, shuts off the flow of gas. Everybody.
And I assume every time I do that, I give you guys revenue at least.
Don't
So
pretend like you're on the payroll.
Very similar to that, in that we're trying to protect or add safety to these meter sets that are in these high-risk situations. So the original goal of the project was not all meters. It was really meters that were in high-risk situations, near parking lots, driveways, alleyways, places like that where meters can and do get hit. And
right,
since I've been doing this, you look and those are everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Everywhere. Especially in the older gas systems. You know, the picture, wrong side. The picture behind me, I'll never be a weatherman. But the picture shows the product right there, right before it's about to get run over by a pickup truck.
Yeah.
And it's just a little piece. I have one in my hand that's a cutaway. It's certainly almost the same technology, just used in a smarter way in natural gas. And I think that's important, the safety part of it. But you know what you just talked about, you talked a little bit about seeing them in alleys, and I see some meter sets next to the road. I think the normal reaction you get from most utilities and their side is, hey, we'll put a bollard up, or you know, we'll
Right.
put up some steel pipe around it, fill it with some concrete or even just plastic pipe with some metal, whatever it is. Oh, but that'll protect it. I mean, that I have to assume is probably one of your most common objections to the product.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a very common thing. And first of all, bollards, if you think about it, they're really an admission that meter is a high risk meter.
right.
So if it has a bollard, the utility, it's really an admission of guilt that meter is in a risky situation. So that's really the target of this product. Is any place where you think about a bollard is a place where this product could potentially be applied. And in the past, the utilities really had it was really the only tool that they had to protect meters. They had to build some sort of physical protection around the meter to try and make them safe. But the reality is bollards can be problematic. They're not terribly effective. And what we find in many cases is that when the bollard is impacted, the bollard is what ends up hitting the meter.
It falls over and smashes into the meter set. Yeah.
Right. And that's what hits the meter, creating the leak and the problem. So that's, and a lot of people understand that, but that's really the only tool that they had available to use were to build these bollards. And I've talked to utilities that have done studies about bollards, and what they've shown is if you're going over 5 miles an hour, they really
Not
don't.
effective.
The bollard is gonna hit the meter and create a break.
Yeah, the other thing about the bollard too is that when you know, I think a lot of people think that it's a protection, and it is from the meter set, but it's not a stop. If the meter is impacted, it doesn't kill the gas. It doesn't do anything for the actual gas flow. It's just basically, you know, like a shield. And once you pass that shield, it's over with, you know, and that's what makes your product so unique and different. Is that, I mean, whether it's in combination with a bollard or ancillary to a bollard, the end result is to kill and stop the gas.
It's a belt and suspenders approach. Really.
Absolutely.
The absolute safest way to go.
Yeah, I mean, plus the bollards are expensive. You're blowing up concrete. They're ugly. No one wants to put a bollard in their yard, you know, side yard, front yard, sidewalk, whatever it might be. And this product just gives the utilities another tool for when you're in these high risk situations.
Well, when you speak,
safety. And it's really all about adding safety. Like you said, Chad, it's belt and suspenders. It's more safe with the HaloValve than without it.
well, that brings me to like the next question is essentially you're talking about another tool for the toolbox and whatnot. There's a lot of confusion that happens in regards to EFVs and the Halo. So can you elaborate whether, you know, one replaces the other? Can they be used simultaneously?
Can somebody tell us what EFV stands for?
Excess flow valve.
I just want to make sure.
Yes. There you go.
Oh, I thought I was like, is this a test?
I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember. That's why I asked.
Ah, gotcha. Chad was trying to learn
It's just
something.
called an
like that.
EFV. It's just
I figured I could get away with the question. It didn't work. Sorry.
Yeah. So EFVs. I mean, that's something where there is some confusion with that. Some people look at this and they're like, oh, it's an EFV, so I don't need to put an EFV in it. And it's not an EFV. This device has nothing to do with flow. So whether it's very high flow or very low flow, it's not gonna close or open depending on flow.
Okay.
It's only gonna close in the event of an impact and it breaks.
The shear.
So it is a true shear valve. If it's impacted and it breaks, it will shut off flow. So it's very different from an EFV in that regard.
But I think it should be used in conjunction, just like you said, belt and suspenders with the bollard. I mean, that's a part of the process, right? The EFV, the bollard potentially, and then obviously in these high impact or high traffic areas, that's going to be your safest way to make sure that you cover all bases.
And I think that confusion with the EFV comes just a little bit in the fact that people think this has to do with flow, like you said, and it's not. It's literally a shear and it stops. Where EFV is going to shut down if you have an overpressurization even farther down the line. It's that it really doesn't have, but it may also, the EFV, just so you know, there's no maintenance program on EFVs that's certified by the federal government. So there's EFVs that have been in the ground for 8-9 years at some of the utilities I call on, and there's no maintenance. So they don't even know.
There's no way to check them.
There's no way to know even if they work. So it's becoming more and more of a thing, and I think it's like even on that side, it's a belt and suspenders thing, because even if you
absolutely originally on this project, the original targets with GTI were existing high risk meters. So if it's an existing high risk meters, there's a decent chance that meter doesn't have an EFV. But even if it does, is the EFV gonna provide protection? Maybe, maybe not. And there's lots of questions around the effectiveness of VFVs, especially with small breaks, small leaks.
Makes sense.
And then if you impact the meter, if the meter does get hit downstream of the regulator, the EFV is not going to see that and will do nothing.
So that all those things kind of with flow and things like that lead into next questions, which is kind of a series of questions. But one of the first things we get asked, and I've been there many times with Joe when we get asked within the first 3 minutes of presenting your product, is, do they make it for farm taps? Because the amount of farm taps that are destroyed by farmers every year is pretty phenomenal. And every time that happens, they have blown gas, they have all kinds of problems. So if you could just, and that has something to do with your capacity and your sizing. So if you could just talk about a little bit about your size, the sizes that you're making currently, and then what it's going to take to get to a farm tap size.
Yeah, absolutely, and you're totally right. I mean, it's almost universal when you talk to a utility about this and they see this, they automatically think farm taps.
Right.
And I think the reason for that is a lot of people look at a farm tap as even a higher risk situation than you have with just a traditional residential meter set.
The pressure on those is much higher, and they tend to be in areas where they're not up against the building, and they may not be high traffic areas, but they're in fields or not easily seen, and you know, they always get run over.
They are high pressure.
And high pressure, right, of course.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're hard to protect. So it's just inherently more risk with these. So originally it was something we really weren't sure about. I mean, again, it was all about just the 3/4 inch residential meters when we started. But clearly, after going out and talking to utilities, that there was something with the farm tap. So we started doing testing on the higher pressure. The standard unit is rated to 300 PSI.
Okay.
And talking to utilities on the farm tap side, sometimes it's 500, 600, 800 PSI.
I have some that are 1,500 down in West Virginia, which is wild.
Wow.
It's true.
Right. So it's kind of all over the map. So we collected did kind of a VOC with a group through GTI to get a handle on what's kind of the target pressure. So we tested 1,000 PSI. That was kind of the target number that we used.
Sure.
And we were able to take our standard unit and adapt it for farm taps. So we now have a standard unit rated at 300 and our high pressure unit that's rated to 1,000 that could be used in these farm taps.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is that also in 3/4 inch or is that in different sizes as well?
So we started with 3/4, and the other thing that we quickly learned was that, hey, can you do 1 inch?
1 inch.
Do 1 inch. Yep.
So what about 1 inch? So lots of people using 1 inch. So we're really close on the 1 inch.
Okay.
We've gotten our supply chain, getting everything dialed in right now. We literally just got samples in about a week ago. So engineering's going through all the samples, making sure everything's where it needs to be on the 1 inch. So we're very, very close to having both the 3/4 and the 1 inch in the standard pressure and the high pressure.
It's awesome.
You know, we're
Ready
probably
for
about a
market.
month away from having that full 3/4, 1 inch offering.
It's really neat. What'd
That's
you do?
phenomenal.
It dropped
You all
something.
right there, Joe?
Yeah. I went to, all right, like here we are, showstopper.
Yeah, it's okay.
My daughter came down with a question for schoolwork and I went to give her one of these and I literally swiped everything off my desk. So that's what you just heard. So I apologize.
Welcome to 2020.
Yeah, sorry. Continue on. Don't let my rudeness interrupt everything. I apologize.
Well, that'll take me to flow pressure drop. You know, have there been any issues with flow? You know.
There haven't. I mean, that's a question we get a lot, you know, when they see it. I mean, there is a restriction, obviously, because the valve that shuts off the flow, it's in the flow path. So the gas has to work around the valve mechanism inside of the unit. So there is pressure drop. That was something that we looked at closely during development with GTI. And given that directly upstream of the breakaway, there's going to be a regulator anyway that's going to knock it way down.
Right.
The pressure drop that we have with the unit was not an issue. So we've got flow charts and pressure charts and all that good stuff, but it has not been an issue to this point.
Great.
Cool. From an installation standpoint, do you have any like issues or concerns on how this is installed? I mean, from my eyes, I've seen it and it seems pretty simple. I mean, there's not a whole lot of, like training that needs to be involved.
Is there ever concern about putting too much torque and breaking it?
Right. That's where I was going with that.
That's
Yeah.
the
Like it's
spot, I guess.
because there is that shear point, is
Yeah.
there issues with that?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that we looked at closely, again, during the development of this. We initially had developed a tool to use to install it, because there was concern about the shear valve, because
Right.
that's a machine, an engineered break point, as we call it, and where it's going to break, and that's a weak point in the system, because what we're trying to do is create a weak point in that meter set.
Yep.
So a lot of the testing that we did, it was in determining what does that need to be. And that's the thing with breakaways. It's not a perfect science.
Right.
It's really trying to find the break point that's strong enough for the installation, strong enough for the daily use and abuse, but weak enough that it's going to provide protection. So it's try to find that sweet spot. So we did a lot of work around, where does it break at? And then when you install it, is it going to be a problem to install? Initially, we thought it could be a problem. We developed a sleeve to go around it, so that you couldn't torque across the shear valve while you install it. And what we found when we started going out and working with utilities and having crews install them, they didn't use the tool. And
And they never will.
No,
Yeah.
that's normal.
Yeah.
I don't need the tool. They understand, and we put stickers on it, labels on it that tell you on both ends, you know,
Don't
do
go
not
crazy.
cross this, which is pretty intuitive, you know, just don't do it, but you never know. But as long as you double wrench it and you don't torque across the unit, we've had no issues with install.
That's great.
Cool.
That's awesome. Well, I think that brings us to conclusion here. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience before we wrap it up?
Like
Yeah,
what?
I
Like
mean,
show and tell?
Well,
do you
sometimes
mean?
we miss stuff in our questions because,
I'm just
again,
kidding. Let me just swipe everything off my desk again and interrupt the show.
I'm going to mute Joe.
No, I mean, just a quick point on the install. I mean, one of the other things we've learned in this utility world, which is again totally new to us, is it was quickly apparent that utilities like to do it. Everybody does it a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
So we offer different lengths of units because some people prefer a 4-inch length, some people prefer a 6-inch length. That fits, you know, their more normal way of piping in the meters.
Mm-hmm.
So we tried to be as accommodating as we could, given the way people are going to use these. So most people they're gonna put it right into the shutoff valve, and then they'll just pipe from there. So we can do the 3/4, the 1-inch sizes in either a 4-inch or 6-inch length, depending on, you know, what fits your setup the best.
And they also come in like different male, female configurations. So depending on where you are, what you need to connect to that assembly, you have those options as well, right?
So
Okay.
normally it's always going to have a male on the inlet side because it's really designed to go into the shutoff.
Okay.
Thread it right into the shutoff valve so you can shut off the gas to pipe it in. But on the outlet side, you can do a male or a female.
Okay. I just wanted to point that out so people that are watching the show and they have those questions, at least we get it out there. I just want to say thanks, man. Like, thanks not only to us for doing this and coming on the show, but thanks for what you guys have done and committed to the industry. You've created a product from scratch that hasn't existed to make people safe and to keep people safe. And I don't think that, you know, while it's a great product and all of the time and energy that you put into it, the real reason for it is for the safety factor, and is to keep people from having these issues that you see on the news or these concerns where things are happening that are, you know, causing people catastrophic injury and death sometimes. So I just want to say thanks from everybody for the work that you guys have done to help create and make our industry just a little bit safer. So just thank you for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. It's been a lot of fun.
I'm sure it has. We look forward. Yeah, we look forward to being, you know, part of the ride even more once this really becomes something that I think everybody's gonna just jump on board with.
It'll become the staple in the industry.
It's a no-brainer, man. It's just a product that's just a no-brainer.
Yeah. Yeah. So we look forward to working with you guys and seeing where we can take this thing.
Awesome.
All right. Well, hey, thank you, Dave, for coming on the show, and you'll hear from us very, very shortly.
All right.
Talk to you soon, bud.
Thanks.
Dave, thank you for joining us. That was a great interview, full of informative information about something that's really going to change the gas industry. I'm super excited for it. Joe was looking at my comments on that going,
informative information. That was incredible.
I'm
sorry. I just love that.
It's a double
I. In all seriousness, Dave, thank you. Like, I think your technology is cool. It's really neat, as I said in the intro, to just have something new in the industry and something that we're really happy to be a part of. Hopefully that everybody got some good information about that. And if you want anything more, you know, contact any three of us, and we'd be more than happy to pass it along and get you guys, you know, whatever you need. I think we have some trade shows coming up, boys, huh? Yeah,
we do. Chad, why don't you lead the way with the one that's near and dear to us?
Which one? They're all near and dear to me, Ted. God.
I think the one we're putting on would be.
Oh, that one.
That's what I was talking about.
That's what you meant. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I will. Let me hit Dirk's first, just because that's coming up this Wednesday.
Yes.
We're gonna have Dirk. It's his Ionics from Ionics. It's his Train the Trainer essentially session. So anybody that's been using Ionics in the utilities that are looking for probably to kind of copy some of his training off of that. I think it's the perfect time to do it, because I don't know how many utilities are actually doing active training on Ionics. So I think it's a good thing. We're also going to have another one on the 30th, which is more just about general information about static in the pipeline world. And then the one that we were talking about a little bit, which Dirk, I believe, will probably do both of these at our very own
Upsco Expo.
Upsco Expo.
Which I'm now calling an
natural
educational.
gas,
I'm calling
natural
it an educational
gas
summit.
utility educational summit is what I'm going with.
Oh,
yeah,
something easy.
Yeah, I'm gonna remember that.
Yeah, right.
Upsco
every time we
Expo natural gas.
Exactly. December 1st through the 3rd, guys. It's we started out thinking we could probably do this in 2 days, and very quickly after the response we got from our educators, we realized that we're probably going to need every bit of 3 days. And it's going to be a lot of stuff. It's going to be nice. You can register for what you want to see, register for what you don't want to see. We're hoping that by the end of this week, all our schedules will be out there with most of the tracks of education. And it'll be on the website, and everything will be able to start registering people and things like that. And all we're trying to do is spread the education, spread the knowledge that all these people have. So
I think there's 25 or 20. How many people do we have, Jeff?
Presentations about 25. I think 25.
We got another one today.
Right now. Yeah.
Alfred
Well, I
Warzow's
think I might have counted them before anyway.
little
they might have been 25. But no. So those are, I mean, the Upsco Expo one's going to be a big deal for us. A lot of work for us to do there. But it's going to be a lot of fun too. I really believe it, and it'll be good for the industry, and that's what really matters to me.
Yeah, we're excited. I think there's a lot of good content coming out of there. We're kind of doing this ad hoc. We haven't really done this before, so fingers crossed.
Kind of like this too.
Fingers crossed that it comes off without a hitch. But I know there's a few other events coming up.
Yeah, Teddy's got some.
Yeah. So also this week, September 23rd and 24th is McElroy's Infusion, which is typically a huge, amazing, large event that they are now taking virtual.
And does that normally cost money, or is it just because it's virtual that it's going to be free?
I don't know.
That's a good question.
I was supposed to go last year for the first time. And
it's so much information. It's almost overwhelming how much information there actually is.
I was looking at the 2-day roster schedule going, all right, I want to go to this and this and this and this and this.
Oh,
wait a minute.
I'm going to go. I'm going to sit.
Hang on, I'm going to see if I can make the speaker work.
Let's make the background work. So it doesn't make you guys look blurry. But while they figure that out, the schedule is really jam-packed for McElroy Infusion, the 23rd and 24th of this month. And then the beginning of October, the DCA, the Distribution Contractors Association, is having their first virtual fall conference. That's October 6th and 7th. And following later that week is NGA's fall conference. So
a lot of stuff.
A ton coming up here with a ton of educational opportunities, a ton of industry news. And as you can see here, there's some collaboration going on.
Hey, we're together.
We brought our pet monkey too, apparently. It's nice to be with my best friend. We haven't gotten to see each other in a long time. And we have cats here too. It's just really nice to be able to hang out. We've got some appointments scheduled this week.
See some customers.
Yeah. So I was in Chad's basement before, where I guess I belong.
Apparently it was cold.
Yeah, so I came upstairs, but it was good. Dave, again, thank you so much. We look forward to next week. We have some more really interesting people coming on and some interesting interviews.
I'm going to get close to you guys so I can feel like I'm in the room too.
All right, I guess that's it for us, huh?
Anything else you want to pass on before we call it a week?
I don't think so.
Hey, thank you everyone so much. Continue to like, subscribe, click, share, all of the good stuff, and we'll talk to you soon. Connections for life.
Love you.
See ya.